Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency has issued an alert to 11 states regarding the release of water from the Lagdo Dam in Cameroon. According to Umar Mohammed, NIHSA's Director General, the water release, which started on September 17, 2023, will begin at a rate. They said they'll take it little by little by little, and then it increases and may gradually increase within 7 days. Now, while the agency assured Nigerians that the initial release will not cause major flooding, it urged states along the River Benue, namely Adamawa, Taraba, Benue, Nasarawa, Kogi, Edo, Delta, Anambra, Bayelsa, Cross River, and River State to remain vigilant and take necessary precautionary measures. The agency also noted that it would continue to monitor the flow levels of the River Benue and provide updates to prevent flood disasters. This alert follows a similar situation. I'm very sure if you're listening or watching, you can remember in 2022 when water release from the Lagdo Dam contributed to devastating floods that claimed more than 600 lives in Nigeria. Currently, Maiduguri in Borno State is facing the aftermath of severe flooding caused by the damage of the Lagdo Dam, resulting in over 30 deaths and the displacement of millions. I don't think anyone would forget in a hurry what happened in 2022. But Mufasa, let's get your thoughts on this alert to the 11 states.
There's a saying that he who fails to plan, certainly plans to fail. This is not the first time that we'll be having this kind of situation in this country. The Lagdo Dam release of water in Cameroon has been, I'll call it perennial, if that's correct, or should I rather say it's a yearly ritual.
Almost a year.
Yeah, so we know about these things. We know that they will release water. We also know the effect it will cause on Nigerians across, the channel, the River Benue channel that they just mentioned. And up till this moment, the Nigerian government has not deemed it expedient to build a dam that will receive the waters if those waters are released. We always like to be reactional as a people, and for me, that is a very sad, is a tragedy. And I don't know what the government, what they enjoy by seeing the people suffer, for their ineptitude.
But we have been told this is not going to cause any
insensitivity. No, it doesn't matter. They just told us that we should be expecting. It's not, it's a 50-50 something. They say you should be expecting, which means be vigilant. Now, how come we've not shown enough vigilance as a government by building something to solve this problem once and for all? Rather, we prefer to, when the flood happens, we bring out billions, we vote out billions of naira. Perhaps it's an avenue for some persons in government to channel some money into their pockets. Because if we decided as a people, as a government, to build a dam, which for me is not rocket science, all the billions that we are pretending to be spending on relief materials and all of that, if we channel those funds to building a dam, a solid dam, my sister, by now we would not even be bothered about this.
We're told that the water will be released little by little, and I'm wondering, where is this water being released little by little to?
That is the issue.
We need it to be released little by little. To where?
We know. Okay. The thing is, we know. It's not as though we don't know. Look at what is happening in Maiduguri today. I saw a video that was recorded months back where somebody was actually raising alarm over that Lagdo Dam in Benue State, in Borno State, as at the time that dam got damaged. And the government, they know about these things. But in our usual way of doing things, we like to be reactional because they benefit. When I mean we, I'm talking about they, because there's nothing that benefited from government.
But is there really, okay, let me get Ambassador's thoughts on this one before we continue with questions. Ambassador.
Well, if I stay in the city of Port Harcourt or Abuja, and I'm speaking that the flood will not have any effect, I may not be wrong, because certainly the flood will not come to my house. So the background for which the person who is speaking should be verified. So if he's residing in FCT and he knows that flood will not come to his house in FCT,
to where he lives,
and he's telling you that the flood will not have any effect, he might be correct. You know, but someone who have seen the effect of the flood each time it comes, whether it comes in a bit by bit, or small or slow, will certainly tell you that the flood will have effects on them. So I want to encourage those who speaks on behalf of government most times to be sensitive and to be realistic. It's not everything you politicize, especially when it has to do with the survival and the safety of Nigerians. So I think that statement is not very correct. Now, looking at the issue of what government can do, you know, each time I say governors do not tell the people there is no money when it has to do with things that they will benefit directly. Some will look at it that maybe you don't like governors. I love governors. I will wish to be a governor one day.
Wow.
You know, so the issue here is the resources that is meant for the people should be channeled intentionally on preserving their lives. If this flood is affecting Benue, Kogi, Edo, Delta, Bayelsa rivers, it's not the federal government responsibility all the time. If the federal government fails in coming to your rescue, you have the resources. The people of your state voted you in so that you can help protect their life and their property.
Are we excusing the failure of the federal government? Because you just said if the federal government fails.
That's what I'm saying.
So that means if we can say if the federal government fails, we can also say if the state government fails. So let's move on to the local. If the local government fails, now if everybody fails,
now that's why we are.
What then happens?
You see, when the issue of the flooding and dam has always been blamed, you know, the blame has always gone to the federal government, which is not out of place. The federal government is still a government for Nigerians. I'm always saying that if, for instance, the person who is at the federal government, the president, the NEMA leaders, or whosoever that is responsible in the control of this flood, didn't deem it fit that you look at the statement that it will not have effect, then you as a governor of this state, you know it will have effect. There is allocation for your state. There is IGRO for your state. The governors within this coastal region can say, can we partner together and build a dam?
But Ambassador, not to deviate, but you usually mention when you talk about allocation for state governors, you used to say that they should just, you know, share it amongst the citizens. Because you really cannot understand what they want to use this money for. Talking about infrastructural development and all of that, right? So they should just give it to the residents or citizens of that particular state. But now you're talking about them putting it in safeguarding the lives of the people. So I'm trying to balance.
Maybe you are not putting my statement in
okay,
the
but you're here.
you can
put it right
in the right context. My suggestion was and is still, because nothing has really still changed, is that because the government policies, the economic policies of government is not yielding good result on the citizens, that my own economic suggestion, which is still in line with the responsibilities of every government, protection of life and property and the welfare of the people, is a constitutional and recognized suggestion, that the governors of the southern Nigeria should give their citizens 1 million naira every three months.
Just the southern Nigeria.
The north should give 500,000 so that they can use it to alleviate the economic suffering and pressure.
The reason I brought that up is not just to make light of the situation, but to help you understand. You just mentioned that, oh, the governors should come together and look for a permanent solution to this or a solution to this. I'm trying to draw your attention
that there will be no money again.
No, I'm trying to draw your attention to the fact that there's something that money can be used for.
No.
Because a lot of times you say you don't know what they want to use the money for.
That's why
they should leave the roads. They should just give it to the people.
No. That's why I said.
So have you finally seen that these monies can be channeled to use?
No. I think you are not still getting me right.
Okay.
No. Let me put it in the right perspective.
Okay, go on.
It's not a casual matter. I meant it and I still mean it. If, for instance, Rivers State government have 50 billion naira in a month, even if our population in Rivers State is not up to 10 million, I stand to be corrected. So even if it's 10 million Rivers people and you share 1 million naira just for 1 month, you will still have billions of naira remaining for infrastructure project. Then you still have another 2 months again. Those 50 billion naira that you still get, you are not giving it to anybody. The one you have given to the welfare of your people, they will manage it. Some of them will start up new businesses, so at least they can feed and survive. So my suggestion and my proposal has no effects in developmental projects.
If they're sharing the money like that, what monies will be used for projects like this?
No. That's what you get me right. Even if you deduct that money as part of welfare project of the people, you will still have some billions remaining.
Ambassador, I see you've sat down and you have really
I'm
really done this calculation.
I'm not saying
you have checked how much comes into the state,
how much will still remain.
Yes. Okay.
So I'm not saying that there should be no project going on.
It's fine.
Human being is the highest project.
All right.
So if this month you give them some chunk of the money, you will still have more money. So it's not something that will be forever. Like I said, it's just an immediate relief. If you can do it once or twice and continue with your gigantic project, fine. But we need to be alive first. So I'm not saying that there's no money. There is money, enough money. After taking
enough
care.
Enough money to share to the people.
And also do projects. So I feel that the state governors, in partnership with the federal government, should come together and come up with a lasting solution, so that the issue of a blame game, why have we not done another dam for this water to be consumed and all of that, will end. Because like my brother was struggling with a word to use, whether it's perennial or 15-year or 14-year, it's like a...
Let's bring Professor back into this. Professor, let's look at how much or how the role that the federal government has to play in this. Because the last time I had this conversation, our ambassador was saying that it probably looks like the federal government or the government probably cannot handle this situation. And that's why we keep having it over and over and over again.
No, it's not as if they can't handle the situation. It's just about the will. Like they popularly say, where there is a will, there is a way. It's not a big deal. Building a dam is not a big deal. Like I said, even state governors can build a dam. It won't take anything out from the huge allocations that they get. Talking about IGRO, they even get ecological funds.
You don't mean it?
They get ecological funds from federal government.
So what is it used for?
These are funds that can be used, to fix the environment, and this is an environmental issue. In as much as I also know that it doesn't have anything to do with the rainfall. It has to do with waters that has been, kept somewhere in a dam. And as the water is getting high, instead of the water to affect them, they allow it to flow. Water is meant to flow. And the government of Nigeria will know these things. It didn't just start today, So it's just a matter of if we have made it a priority as a country, not just to preserve the name of the country called Nigeria, but to preserve the people. Currently, we are having serious hardship in this country. And you could imagine the effects, adding what this flood would do to the people, to their farmlands, to their homes, to their businesses, coupled with what they are faced with already with bad governance in this country. So it's not whether or not they can, it is something if they want to. And it's really sad and unfortunate that, you know, they don't want to. They don't. It's a height of irresponsibility on the part of government.
Sorry, Mufasa, right? Let's look at the prior notice now that have been given. And for some time now, the federal government this is not the first time the federal government is saying this. For some time now, the federal government have been talking to states to prepare themselves, especially this after the Maiduguri flooding and all of that. They're like, okay, if your state is along this line, have it in mind that you have to be proactive and all of that. Let's look at how proactive the state governors have even been. Let's start from our beloved state. Let's not go too far.
You know what? You see, there's no gainsaying that the states are not proactive enough. I mean, being proactive is not by, you know, coming to tell the people a week or a month
to move to higher grounds. And before now, they were not even making reference to the Cameroon Lagdo Dam. Yes,
what they were talking about is the rainfall.
So
imagine when you add these two. So I think the preparation is poor. I think the best form of preparation to tackle this issue is to provide a permanent solution to the problem. So that if we are grappling with the rainfall, we know this one is nature. We know that we need to clear our waterways, we need to dredge our rivers and all of that. But this one is large volume of water that will be released into our space. And the only solution to that is for us to build a dam.
We know you've talked about that as the permanent solution, but now this water is coming and there's no holding back.
There's no holding back.
So for now, what are we doing to make sure that we don't have more lives being lost?
It's going to be the usual fire brigade approach. There's nothing different. You're not going to say anything different. What you see is that they prepare one dilapidated primary school or secondary school somewhere in the hinterlands, push people there to live in extreme weather condition, exposed to all manner of, you know, atmospheric conditions, you know, mosquitoes and all of that. You move into what they call IDP camp, or what they call it, as a healthy person. When you are living there with cholera, malaria, typhoid. So it's the usual thing that they do all the time. What we are saying is, let us look for a way to put a permanent solution on the ground. Nobody will be happy to leave his home and go and be staying somewhere that is not befitting for human beings to live in. Especially now that there is hardship and hunger in the land. You bring 4 bags of rice, some bags of gari and beans, and people, it is unimaginable. It's not something that will come. The thought of the picture of the old episode in the head is troubling.
All right, Ambassador, I know you have talked about the permanent solution. Yes.
Well, one, the state government at all levels should begin to set up a flood management committee or response committee, and so that they can be alert in case of when the flood begins to come. Number two, telling the people to move to higher ground. Somebody who is sinking from where he is first economically, you are saying he should move to higher ground. Where is the higher ground? Are you prophesying, or you are trying to be realistic?
They should not come to the township. So abandon their homes.
So where is the alternative home?
Where is the higher ground?
Yeah, that they are going to move to. You know, even when God was telling the Israelites to leave Egypt, He promised them where they are. You know, there was a promised land. So I think that our leaders should not joke with the statement when they say move to higher ground. Where is the higher ground? So I feel that state government should provide the higher grant so that people in the villages will already know where the higher grant is, the alternative home. It's a serious matter, because the idea of taking people to primary schools, you know, feeding them like condemned criminals, you know, we should improve on it. If something happened unaware the first time,
yes,
it can be taken for emergency, but not when it has become a reoccurring event. Then it's the same standard. And you will watch when this thing happens. If they appoint people in that committee, people will begin to congratulate them because they are sure they will buy new cars.
Wow.
And they are sure that their life will be more better, to the detriment of the people. Now again, let me submit. I've always advocated that the fact that when a flood committee is set up and then 2 billion naira is allocated for a local government where these flood victims are affected, this 2 billion naira just to feed them, provide health facilities that are not even good enough for them, why don't you look at these communities that usually is affected and then take census of them, give them money to go and rent houses? If, for instance, you give a particular family 1 million naira or 500,000, I'm just saying for instance, because 2 billion naira is not 2 million. I do not know any local government in Rivers State that the population is up to 1 million. Yeah. But I'm Mufasa, I don't know whether I'm looking at electoral statistics. They are not up to. So if you will invest 2 billion naira just to make your people, you know, survive in a very, very dilapidating state, I think it's inhuman.
So you're saying instead of bringing relief materials, just take the numbers of these people and share the money to them?
Yes, because most times that money that government claim they spend would have judiciously been given to these people to have a better life until the flood is over.
Okay, I would like to bring Mufasa in on this suggestion now. We're talking about the immediate actions that we expect, especially from the state governors.
Well, he has actually made a valid suggestion. You know, my friend here, Ambassador Kie, is always an advocate of sharing money. And to a large extent, you know, the money belongs to the people. But then again, let's also look at the other side, on the flip side. You know, we've always had issues with people handling money. When you give out 2 billion naira, for instance, maybe a flood committee to go and take care of the people, most times they're usually, you know, siphoning and mismanagement of funds. Talking about even the accurate data of the, you know, the people who live in those flood-prone areas. We don't have any valid database that you can rely on to say that this is the actual number of people in so and so area. These are lapses on the part of government. That is why I've said before in my initial deposition that let us look for a way to see how we can stop these things permanently. Okay, like in Rivers State, for instance, those communities in the Orashi region that are usually the sufferers of this flood issue when it comes. Some of them, they have season where they do their planting. Now, if you are taking them away from their houses and you are giving them 500,000 naira for a family that they know if they want to do their farming, you know, and all of that, what they will get at the end of the day will be more than that. Some of them have businesses that they need to take care of. So, you know, most times these short gap measures don't usually, you know, solve the problems. I quite agree with him that it will create some level of succor for the people. But when it now becomes, you know, and something that the government sees as a way out, because our government always look for any simple way out. When they see that as a way out, they'll just want to take that as the permanent solution. Don't worry, when the flood comes again, we'll share money to them, and it becomes, you know, the usual way of doing things. That's permanent solution. We have building of dam, we have dredging of those coastal lines, so that when the water comes, there will be enough place for the waters to be received. You don't need to people to chase them out of their comfort zone and go and keep them somewhere. Like rightly said, where is the higher ground? In the Orion, where is the higher ground? There's no higher ground.
He said it's a prophecy.
Some of these people that are praying go to higher ground, they live in ivory towers, even in the township. They don't have the slightest idea of what the people are going through. Just because they are selfish and they are wicked. That is the way I see it. Governance is about the people.
Right.
If you cannot make the people comfortable, then you have no business being involved.
Talking about the people now.